Hi, y'all. So as we kick off the year virtually, I'm going to share some tips to help you with making sure that you have the best grade possible and that you're keeping up with all of your work and your classes. Since it's a little bit different, we're on an AB schedule this year, and just being virtual is kind of weird for everybody. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to pull up some slides that I have for you guys to kind of take a look at and reference if you ever need to do so. So here are some virtual best practice tips, basically how to be successful with online learning. So first things first, you need to have access to your Google Classroom and Google Meets. So both of these are available as an app on your phone. So you don't always have to have your computer open. And if it's charging, then you have a secondary version of Access if you have both of these apps downloaded on your phone. So again, Google Classroom and Google Meets are both apps that are pretty good on your phone. A third app that I really recommend that you don't have to have, but unless you want to just receive text messages all the time, you can also download the Remind app in the App Store. That being said, I also included the codes here so that you can go ahead and add my classes and make sure that whenever I send out a reminder or you have a quick question that needs to be answered ASAP, then you can message me and I can get back to you, since I'm probably on my phone more often than I am on my computer and my email. So kind of like if you have a quick question that can be answered quickly that you need to answer to right now, then Remind would be your best choice. And then otherwise, if it's not a super immediate thing, you can email, since I'll get back to it within 24 hours. If you are in my AP biology class, you do also need to add yourself using information from the syllabus to get your textbook access virtually, which is on McGraw-Hill Education. In your My Apps page, you should have access to this as an application, and it's McGraw-Hill Connect. Once you sign in, you might have to enter the code, but the syllabus actually has a link for you. College Board is the same. Since you're going to be taking the AP class in order to take the AP test, you're going to need a College Board account to sign up for that. And we'll have some practice quizzes and tests on there that are super useful for you getting used to the AP format on the College Board website. So just Google it and then use the code in the syllabus to sign up for my class. So staying attentive is super hard. I think that online learning at home, if you have your family around, if you don't have your own room, if you are busy because you're working, staying attentive when you're tired or overwhelmed by other things is really difficult. And I totally get that. I mean, we all were students at some point, but this is like a time like no other. So make sure that you drink water and stay hydrated. If you need to, or have the ability to grab a snack and fuel your brain, since you'll be using it quite a lot. Online working is quite tedious. If you are doing these lessons and activities after working hours, I'm sure you're already exhausted. So make sure that you fuel your body to get through the education that is free while it lasts, okay? For human brains, every 45 minutes of productivity should be rewarded by 15 minutes of break. Now, if you want to work through 4 hours of material in one day just to get it over with, kudos to you. But if you want to make sure that you give your brain a break and that you're retaining all the information that you need to retain, a 15-minute break ratio is probably the best. If you need to go and break a little earlier because you're tired, or break a little earlier because you have to do something else, nobody's ever going to stop you as long as you make sure that you get your work done. Another thing to take into consideration is to find a quiet space to do your work. It's really hard to focus on learning information when you don't have like the right headspace to do it in. If you don't have your own space that you can find in the house, then you can also go and use earbuds and play some like calming or lyrical music that you enjoy as you are listening to videos or watching content and doing activities, so that you can kind of be isolated, at least in your own headspace, even though physically you might not be able to. And then the last thing to staying attentive is doing something while you're watching a video, or doing something while you're doing an activity that isn't completely tangible, right? If it's on the computer, like, and you're not touching or doing stuff with it, it's a lot of the times it's hard for you to remember the information. And so no matter what class it is, I suggest that you keep a journal, and organize your notes by date. So always write your date in the upper right-hand corner and jot down notes from class. So in AP Bio, I'm going to require it. And in Bio, I highly suggest it because we're going to be using a journal once we are back in the classroom. So there's 3 ways to take notes. First one is to, when you're on a slide, just copy down everything that you see. And so by copying it, you'll probably remember something, right? And that's easy to do because it's all right in front of you, but it's not actually that useful to do. So if you're a beginner at taking notes, you can try that, but it's not a great way to take notes. The second way is to write down what the teacher is saying about the slides, right? Because that stuff you can't ever see. You have to keep listening to it over and over again. So you might as well write it down so that you know kind of what information is important, because the teacher's only really going to talk about what's important. And that's kind of hard to do because you kind of have to remember what the teacher is saying and then relate it to the slides. And it's quite useful, but it's not really everything together. So the third way is that after each slide, you'll pause the video and kind of just think about what the teacher said, think about what's on the slide, and then summarize it all together in a couple sentences or a couple bullet points and write it down, and then move on to the next slide. That's the best part about videos, is that you can start and stop them whenever you need to, and you can kind of take it at your own pace. And that way you're not feeling rushed when you're learning, and it actually might be the best situation that we can make out of this. Attendance and absences are kind of different this year. So on your class day, whether it's an A day or a B day, you have to, within that 24-hour period, you have to go do at least one of the following, right? Doing more than one is probably better, but if you have to do, if you don't have the time to go and do all of the things, then you should at least do one of the things. Because within a 24-hour calendar day, you should either show that you've worked on or completed an assignment, attended the office hours that are available on my Google site, or send an email or remind message to me about why you weren't able to do either of the above, or explaining what's going to happen that you'll be able to get the work done. And the reason why this is important is because we can't take attendance in person, obviously. You're not coming to class physically. So if you're not going to be doing the work and aren't showing me that you can do the work, I can't mark you present. And then the problem is that if you are missing for more than 9 days or not present for more than 9 days, then you get in big trouble and you lose credit for the whole semester. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you lose credit for the whole semester, then you've just wasted all your time. So make sure that you are doing at least one of these things every day. And then you can check on Focus to see your attendance, and kind of email me if something's not what it's supposed to be, or if I've maybe made a mistake. And that way we can correct it, because I can correct it within 3 days of the day that you noticed is probably maybe wrong, or that you need to kind of go back and think if you did do what you needed to do that day. Because if you're not present, I can't mark you present. Grades are pretty normal. 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79 is a C, and then 0 to 69 is an F. And if you get an F, you don't pass. Okay, so make sure that you are keeping on top of your work and checking Focus, checking Google Classroom, so that you can pass the class and get credit and move up, right, with your peers. Remember that grades are earned. They're not given. I'm not giving you anything. Everything in class is something that you earn. It's based on the effort that you put in, and then I will grade it. It's not going to be something where it's based on my feelings or my thoughts that maybe they worked really hard at. No, whatever work you put out is whatever grade you're going to get, right? Science is cold, hard facts a lot of the times. So you're either right or you're wrong, and hopefully you're right more than wrong. Academic dishonesty, I hate cheating, okay? Plagiarism is a big no-no. So if you copy somebody else's words, if you copy somebody else's work, you're gonna get in trouble for it, because now that we're online, most of things can be checked through a plagiarism checker that Fort Worth ISD is providing, okay? So cheating means that you get an automatic 0, and maybe the first time I will talk to you about it, because we got to determine if it's on purpose or not. And then afterwards, if it becomes a recurring issue, it's going to end up in a referral and contacting parents, and you can even lose credit. Okay, so make sure that if you are working with somebody on an assignment, at least put the answers into your own words. Okay, I'm not against you working together with people. I'm not against collaborating. I'm not against using more brains than one, but make sure that you just don't have the exact same thing, because that would be plagiarism. Okay. These are my tips to making sure that you get the best experience out of virtual learning. I know it's kind of weird, it's kind of hard, but if you do these, then I can almost guarantee that you're going to be on top of your work and that you will be having the best experience that you can for this interesting year.